Now, it certainly wasn't a regular Wednesday night. When I met Sister Mary Andrew back in September, I was really struck by her thoughtfulness, her dedication to the young people at the Towers Convent School in West Sussex, where she's been based since the late 1950s, and also her sense of fun. And so, with some trepidation, I asked her to come along with me to watch Sister Act, the touring musical starring X Factor winner Alexandra Burke at the Brighton Centre. I thought it would be interesting to get a real nun who has spent years in a convent and a life devoted to service to God and others to give her thoughts on the hit musical directed by Strictly Come Dancing judge Craig Revel Horwood. Well, in summary, the show tells the story of aspiring disco diva Dolores Van Cartier, who witnesses a murder committed by her gangster boyfriend. She's then put into witness protection in a convent in a parish that's fallen on hard times and finds herself put in charge of the choir. Well, Alexandra Burke had told me a few days before the show that it was a fairly lively affair. And Sister Mary Andrew had told me that she'd watched the Whoopi Goldberg film and was coming with an open mind. But as I waited outside the box office for her taxi to arrive, which was rather late, I was getting a bit anxious about the whole thing. So here's how we got on. So, Sister Mary Andrew, you made it.
Just about.
We were cutting it a bit fine. Thank you so much for coming with me.
It's a great pleasure, Emily. I'm delighted that you invited me. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. So we've got about an hour, first half.
Yes.
Then we'll have another little chat in the interval and see how we're doing.
That's right, yes. Most hair-raising journey I've ever made.
We've reached the interval. Sister Mary Andrew, I've seen you smile, I've seen you clap, I've heard you laugh a little bit.
Yes.
I've also seen you frown a little bit. What's your reaction so far?
Quite surprised, I think, by the take, because I was expecting, I suppose because I've seen the film, I was expecting something a bit more like the film. I was very taken aback that all the nuns are crazy, apart from the Mother Superior. And I think that's a pity, really, because, well, the whole thing is, as you say, it's just a comedy. It just takes a comical slant on the whole situation. A thing I didn't like was at the beginning when she's asked if she ever prayed, and they then took the name of Jesus in vain. I didn't like that, I thought, and people laughed, and that was the one thing I really, really didn't like.
There are some quite serious moments and some quite serious themes going on as well. You've got the story of Dolores. She's not safe. She's been put in witness protection. She's put in this strange environment. You've also got the story of the church in real danger. There's no money, it's going to be closed down, the sisters have to save it, which is actually a theme that's very familiar today.
It was on the radio, as you said last Sunday, about places having to close down because financially they're not viable. And what happens to these people? Where do they go? And they're broken up. The community is going to be broken up.
And there's also a theme of acceptance as well. That's what has really struck me, is Dolores is put in this really unfamiliar environment, and yet Mother Superior has taken a vow that says she must welcome in everybody. She must accept.
Vow of charity, yes. She's finding it very difficult, but she is accepting her.
What do you think of the music? What do you think of the singing?
I think the singing is absolutely wonderful. I can't hear the words, which probably is just a good thing. The voices, the vocalists, I think they're absolutely wonderful. I think Dolores has a marvellous, as do all of them, I think, on the stage. It's beautifully done, the singing. And accompanied by so many acrobats and so much movement. It's so clever.
And the musicians on the stage as well. A lot of them are playing music all the time.
Such accomplishment, really.
The other thing that I was going to ask you, the line that has most stuck in my head so far has been, God has answered your prayers, you just don't like the answers. And this was the Monsignor, the priest, saying to the Mother Superior, do you know what? Just deal with it. Dolores is here, and she might be the answers to some of your prayers.
That's, as you said, those are the most profound words so far in the show. And it's true, isn't it? We were always told that you can keep on praying and certainly not get the answer that you were looking for. But in the praying, God helps you accept the answer that he gives. You know, he changes you in order to make you able to accept what he wants you to accept.
Now, I must confess, I was a bit nervous when I invited you here. And then when your taxi was a bit late, I was quite panicked as well, but you got here. But I was nervous about how you would feel being here, but also perhaps about the reaction of others around you as well. And as we wandered into the auditorium, we could see some girls dressed as nuns, and you looked over and said, well, they're not the genuine thing. How does that make you feel?
Well, I did feel people were looking at me, but perhaps they thought I was dressed up as well. I think people in the queue here, when we were getting something to drink, they were looking at me again. I mean, you know, we are human. We're like other people. I did think some of the scenes were a bit seedy, and people might think, what's she looking at that for, you know. But, well, I mean, we're human, you know. We live and we breathe like other people. So I'm not upset, I'm not fazed by it, really.
Are you ready for part 2?
Yes, I am.
Well, that was Sister Mary Andrew and her thoughts at the halfway point in the interval of Sister Act, starring Alexandra Burke at the Brighton Centre earlier this week. Find out what she thought by the end after 8 o'clock this morning. It's 7:30, time for the latest headlines now with Sarah. Time for part 2 of Sister Mary Andrew's review of Sister Act, the musical starring Alexandra Burke and directed by Craig Revel Horwood, when it came to the Brighton Centre this week. Well, Sister Mary Andrew is a nun based at the Towers Convent School in West Sussex, where she's been for many years. But what did she make of Sister Mary Clarence, the name given to disco diva Dolores Van Cartier, who is told she needs to disguise herself in a habit and hide at the convent after she witnesses her gangster boyfriend committing a murder? When we got to the interval, my guest reviewer, Sister Mary, revealed she'd been wowed by the singing, the musicians and the stage direction, but a little less impressed by some of the portrayal of the nuns and some of the language. So would part 2 be any better? Sister Mary Andrew reflected back on the show at the stage door as cast members began to make their way home. So, standing ovation. There were some real heart-stopping moments in that second half.
There were indeed, yes. Particularly the part when he was going to shoot them all. And every sister offered their lives. They were going to give it for her, for their friend. And the other thing, the moment that I thought was very true, was when the Mother Superior was saying, this is God. And Dolores was saying, you know, this is human. And then together they said, but they're both the same. Do you remember that part?
I remember that part.
That was clever. That was good.
There was a real message there, wasn't there?
Yes, there were several messages. I mean, as I said earlier, parts I really didn't like. Didn't like the skit on the Our Father either at the very beginning. I'd forgotten that. But the talent and the music, the voices, the movement, it was absolutely out of this world.
So, Sister Act the musical, set in the 1970s in Philadelphia. You were based in the convent here in Sussex in the 1970s. Any similarities at all?
Not to this show. No, not to this show. I think perhaps to the film there might have been similarities. You know, people think that, well, some people think perhaps that when you don a habit, you change, but you don't. You're exactly the same. And in fact, things might become even more difficult. You know, you're still the same person with the same faults and failings. You just have to work at it. And I remember in the film, Mother Superior, I think, was a bit jealous of all that was going on. But people are jealous. You know, just because you put a veil on doesn't mean to say your jealousy flies out of the window. You just have to work at it and work to be less selfish and more loving. And, well, that's what it's all about, really. Loving other people. Trying to. That's what it's all about.
Did you have any sympathy, any empathy for the struggles that we saw the Mother Superior in Sister Act go through?
Yes, I think I did. It was easy to see that she certainly couldn't understand this woman and what was happening, and couldn't understand what was happening, although it was very far-fetched, but couldn't understand what was happening to her convent. But then in the end, accepted it, said thank you.
And what will you go back and tell the sisters in your convent?
I shall tell them much of what I've told you, that I thought the acting, the singing, the dancing, the musical part of it was absolutely wonderful. Tremendous talent. I was rather sorry that all the nuns were a bit crazy, apart from Mother Superior. They were all very odd and strange. I shall tell them that there were bits that I thought were undesirable, but that it was a tremendous artistic achievement.
And hopefully you'll be able to tell Alexandra Burke.
Oh yes, indeed, I hope so. Oh yes, I would not for the moment take that from her. It's wonderful. She's a very, very talented person, no doubt. Wonderful woman, yes.
Well, Sister Mary Andrew did get to meet Sister Mary Clarence, played by Alexandra Burke, and tell her what she thought. And you can see a picture of that meeting on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC Sussex or BBC Surrey. And we've also tweeted a picture at BBC Sussex and at BBC Surrey. My thank yous to Sister Mary Andrew. She was a great sport, and it was a really, really lovely opportunity to sit next to her and hear her thoughts.